Now, if defense wants to dive your Zen and Ana, look how far they have to dive in, right? To actually get on top of your Zen and Ana. Like, they have to commit so many resources just to dive your backline. So what's going to happen when they commit all those resources to your backline, right? Now they've committed way too much. So either you guys counter dive and they just die, okay? Or you let them deal with your Zen and Ana and say like, yo, okay, you guys are just gonna have to pocket each other. You're probably gonna die here, but we're gonna just use you as bait. And then instead of going back to your team, you guys all go onto their team, who are like right here, okay? But the difference is, you can commit way less resources because when these two tanks dive in first, their supports are gonna come up to try to heal them. So now you can either very minimally walk onto their supports, okay, wherever they're at. But the premise is that if they try to commit all the way back there for your Zen and your Ana, it's a misplay, and their supports still have to come up to help them to keep them alive. And so you'll be able to dive on top of their supports with way less resources. So now every single time they try to dive your Zen and Ana, it actually helps your team. So running a Zen here is really, really good. Obviously, because the two sight lines are very, very long, Zen also benefits better than Lucio for other reasons, right? Now he has cross-map healing that Lucio doesn't. So this is huge. It's really good for this point. He has Discord across the map, which Lucio doesn't, which is really good for this point. His ult is just as good as Lucio's, so that's fine. He has way better damage cross map than Lucio does. Like, Zen can just straight pop off and volley a player way back here and get a free kill. Lucio can't do that at all, right? So what do you need Lucio for anymore? Basically nothing. That's what teams don't understand. So they end up getting stuck here because Lucio is really, really good in the first 2 points, because the first 2 points are very enclosed. They're very like squished and compact. So constantly your Ana's getting dived on and you need peel, or you're just getting Nano Blade and you need to boost him around. Doesn't really work here, okay? So again, I don't know if you guys do well here or not, but I'm willing to bet there have been scrims on Gibraltar where you guys did really well the first 2 points, and then the third point you get stuck because of this reason.
Get out. We're speaking main, I guess.
I'm with you.
Tell me when you wanna go. Remember, this fight is dry fight.
We doesn't fuel. She's low. Getting healed now.
They counter diving you.
Yeah.
Keep a hack. Oh,
Get out of the bubble, Okay, nice, we're getting the blade out.
Diva low.
Nice.
Diva one. Diva make one. No anymore.
He's dead. Keep fighting, it's winnable.
Kind of weird to me to see you guys keep fighting here, because they got your main tank and you only got their Genji, which is a terrible trade for you guys. Like, main tank is huge, Genji is not really that big of a deal. If this team plays this correctly, and they're playing this kind of shit right now, but if they play this correctly, you guys would kind of get farmed this fight, because Widow would just go back again. You'd have no main tank to stop her presence, and then this person would get farmed, this person would get farmed, this person would get, like, the higher up in SR, the greater chance of you just getting dinked, and you getting dinked, and you getting dinked, and you getting dinked. Like, this is really weird from you guys. This is not a good trade. Or, well, it's gone now, but trading your Winston for their Genji is not a good trade.
Pushing.
I don't know.
Monkey's low.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost Mike, unlucky.
Zen one.
Still doable.
So now you're missing
Nice.
your
Diva.
Diva mech.
I'm safe.
I'm down. Go Winston.
Monkey on point.
There you go.
Ana.
Fuck me.
You're naded, man.
Diva hack. EMP.
You want it?
Guys, you guys have committed basically every ult. We need to win this fight.
Is it winnable? Yeah, it should be, I guess.
Yeah, it's one.
Brother. Zan.
Any again? Is that one?
Coming back to you
Oh,
guys.
no. Break. Everyone break.
We got.
What?
Diva hack.
Oh, I woke him up, my bad.
Okay.
Okay, we might have to reset.
They're still low as fuck.
Okay, right.
They have Briggy set up Genji, they use Brigitte's ult. They have Diva's ult again. They used Monkey before. They still have Widow. We can dive the Widow for free next, I think. They have Mora Zen.
They are trans again.
Why do we have Ryan?
Because they have a break.
Alright, tell me when you push, I can kill Widow.
Okay, I guess.
Let's
Go. Monkey's over here, you can go on him.
What fucked up a jump?
Nice.
Okay. It's a good pick. I don't know why their monkey was over there alone.
Sorry. Fuck up,
Get out again, out.
Yeah, so against their comp, basically the Rhine, if you're gonna play it, needs to hold shield the entire time. So you guys just have space to walk in and play off of like free hacks on the Winston and free hacks on the Diva. Because if they walk up to contest your Rhine, he's not gonna get picked against their comp unless he gets bashed and discorded, which shouldn't really happen. And then again, you can just play off of your Sombra's hacks. You can play off of Nano Blades and the fact that you'll farm them quickly because now you have a shield to play behind. I don't mind the Rhine pick. I think Winston's fine too. Like I don't think Winston was a problem, but if we're gonna play Rhine, you guys should probably swap your comp up a bit.
Jag har någon annan både igen. Det där... Vi kör på bomb igen now.
Okay, nice.
Det är han igen.
We got Nano Blade again. They should be close to Trans, and I think we might have to go dry fight and force the Trans off, but we don't have dive now. We might
Nej. Merge mig now. Det tar rätt. Ja, ta
We don't hide man.
I'm ready to play it,
Tell me when you wanna go. I can tell you.
So obviously options here. You don't really need to force out trance, especially because you don't have the time. Just try to have Sombra go for the hack. If it doesn't work, that's fine. You can still Nano Blade and just pocket it, like have Laszlo pocket it and speed it around, and then have Yosho look for the nade. So try to save nade here.
Diva hack.
City? Ja, det.
He was almost out of mana.
Charging monkey. Monkey out. Me? Hello?
I'm ready to blade. If you want.
Okay, so it's last fight. You might as well literally just burn everything, in my opinion.
If you want.
You guys have such a big lead here too, that as soon as you get this pick, you should just like EMP and a blade on top of the stack right here. And then when they come out, just like look for shatter or look for sleep shatters, things like that.
We need to EMP first. Wait, we need it.
Tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, go MP.
Okay, there should be no reason you guys lose this fight now.
Don't lose anything else.
Han
Zen,
har
nice.
Jag kommer ihåg det.
Okay.
We do Aegon.
Widow bridge.
She's on point, nice. Monkey.
Coming.
Okay. All on point.
Okay, body block is
Body
good.
block.
Break. Diva has ult.
Okay.
I'm safe. I'm not safe apparently.
Oh no.
Stay below.
Diva hacked.
Okay, so this previous fight, before this recontest, said you should Nano Blade, and when they come out, look for like Sleep Shatter. But in that previous fight, you guys used Nano Blade, Diva Bomb, I think Beat. You may have actually used 6 ultis in this fight before, and you still let Widow kill 3 of you. So it's kind of weird. Should have realistically just been EMP Nano Blade there. That's an insane combo. Like EMP Nano Blade should always win you a fight. There should be no excuse to not win a fight off of those 3 alone. And then you guys would have had 3 ultis to play with.
He dinked me like right away as soon as I EMP'd. So that's 1 kill, pretty much.
Yeah, sure, but that's like still you've already used like one of the best ultis in the game, right? So now you guys just Nano Blade and you win, and then you'd have 3 ultis for the next fight. But now like they're able to recontest, and then as soon as Trance ends, you don't have anything. So they'll probably there's only 4 seconds left, so they stabilize.
But I mean, it's like 0.6 meters. I guess if we did it, well, yeah, you're right. But like you said before, we should have just burned every ult.
Yeah, no, 100%. But you should keep in mind, like, I just mean like for this last section, you need to burn every ult before the map ends. Like, because the cart was literally right here, I think, if I remember correctly, or like maybe a bit further back.
Yeah, I get you.
Because yeah, they're gonna win this.
Blake.
Yeah, comp could have been improved there at the end for sure. Okay, let's see next VOD. Okay, so there, you guys needed to slow down a bit for sure. With your dives, like let everybody get in position a bit further. That was a big thing I saw on probably 3 to 4 different team types. And then again, like the usage of your guys' ultis could have been way improved, right? So we talked about how to like enable EMP and enable Blade, so that if you're gonna commit the ultis, it gets like full value. That's really, really important. Yeah, I don't know, that fight where you guys use like 6 ultis, realistically, if you just enable the Blade correctly, there's no reason he doesn't get like a 4K. or at least like deal enough damage that the team fight is won in your favor.
Like,
Especially because the comp that they were playing, in that last like 3 team fights had no combo at all. Like they literally had nothing. They had a Widow, a Brig, Winston Diva, and I think like Ana Zen or something. Like they literally had no win condition except for just getting picks. So you guys had an insane comp into theirs whenever you had ults, like in the ult fights. So it's yeah, kind of weird.
Fucking hell, I forgot it. Forklift, yeah, forklift or server room if they like the control of the icon. Like play on the top here. You can drop to server room if you need.
Yeah, if you're gonna play defense Sombra, you should definitely have supports playing server room.
Just remember.
If they jump top box.
And with defense Sombra, you shouldn't really need a Lucio. Ana Zen should be completely fine, just playing inside server, because that having the pack is insane, insane value. And now when they try to dive the Ana Zen, you guys just counter dive. This Lucio isn't really needed on defense.
Jump top box, I'll just do this. And
Let's see what they have. Genji, Invis.
In a lot of maps, Lucio is fine on defense on high ground maps because there's really good reasoning for like keeping it next to your Ana and keeping her alive. Like that's okay. Especially in NA right now, when you used to see Winston Diva defense, it's starting to go back to starting to go back to Ryan Zarya Lucio defense, and then you still play Ana and you'll play like Sombra Doom or something. So you play Sombra Doom with Ryan Zarya, and you run the Lucio because not only can he quickly peel for the Ana and then immediately go forward and like peel for the tanks and go back and forth, but when your Zarya is like 100 energy, you can speed her around and use her as bait and do so many different things. So NA does that quite a bit. And most regions are still playing Winston Diva defense, which is still good. NA just has a weird playstyle. But, you know, in those cases, that's where like Lucio on defense is still strong on high ground maps. But here's like the god tier high ground map where Ana Zen gets insane value if you play around it correctly. And having a hacked pack makes it so easy for Ana and Zen to play right back here inside the room and just LOS you guys who are playing here and here and here. And then again, when they get dived, like they just use the hacked pack. And it takes so long to kill them that their team never actually got good value. And by the time they finally kill them, they've already lost like their 2 supports in the back line, or you guys counter dived and got like 3 kills on them and they only got 2 kills on you, stuff like that. But yeah, Ana Zen, as soon as this first fight ends, well, Ana Lucio, I guess, should be looking to play inside server. With the Lucio, you can probably get away with having them play like down here, next to the pocket, and just using the Lucio to like heal back and forth between the Ana and the tanks. But yeah, this comp's kind of weird from you guys.
No, they actually have a Widow in the far back.
Yeah, it's fine. You can hacker and Dweller if you want, if you like it. Yeah, they have Genji Widow with dive.
Because you have Sombra Doom looking to play very passive for a second.
Widow's one.
monkey top.
Okay.
They're coming aggro. They're coming aggro. They're coming aggro.
There. There. I can't see you
Monkey
guys.
up.
We don't bow. We don't bow.
I just got deleted.
Don't give up high ground. Don't give up high ground. We have a disadvantage of 1 man.
He's got blue one.
Winston hack.
I don't know.
I'm coming to kill you. I'm coming to kill you.
You're missing your main source of damage, so seeing you guys go aggressive doesn't really make sense.
No, push me.
Maybe we got shot.
Okay, now Yosho's immediately dead. Now you're missing your main source of damage and your main source of healing. So it should be kind of obvious now that you need to chill out for a second. Kadolski gets to pick on your other
That's a
support.
reset.
You have no healing
That's
at
a
all
reset.
now. Yeah. So when you're missing the hero who your comp is designed around, you should probably not take too many fights. Unless you have like the lead in other ways. But you guys had no lead in any other way. Like you were strictly just down your main hero. So it didn't make sense to dive.
It was almost at a Mac. Nice.
We might retouch. No, we lost tanks. I'd say just go die on point and go touch.
You guys can definitely recontest with Doom and Lucio
Just
here.
go die on point and go touch to die on point. Because otherwise we're gonna get spawn camped. Can we go 3 to 1? Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Was he hack? Oh no.
Lucio dead.
shot.
Mini D below.
Try to die on point. Oh, it's not like we're gonna get Thanos stack like on the shuttle.
Alright.
They might have Diva bomb. They might have.
We
They're
don't
diving
something
you, boys.
We don't follow.
We still low, we still low.
We fast,
Go,
we
go,
need to touch, we need to touch.
The angles.
Oh yeah, this is the
Nice
one where
ace.
I'm on point.
Aplox was getting the ice cream.
D.Va.
Oh no. Alright, we'll see.
We got nice. Don't do
Okay,
anything else.
okay. There we go.
Yeah, I'm staying on point. I'm staying on point. We lost Mac. It's unlucky. Careful,
No.
Bumpus, careful, Bumpus.
Monkey hack, monkey hack.
Monkey there. They're beating in. They're beating in.
They beat.
I can beat as well if you want. I'm waiting now.
Han är där. Du var...
Briggs alone here.
Bring on, no stun bash. She will have it. She will have it.
Hack,
Bring
hack,
up.
hack,
Nice. Don't lose anything else.
Good counter dive.
Are you playing now? I'm playing again. They still have Widow.
One thing I want to say, which is clearly evident from this spot, is that like we give a lot of like target position, like target calls or target information, but we very rarely like tie it down to a location to make it actually useful for the team. Because like if you say if someone says like Brigitte is here, for example, that there might be players all around the map or like far away from the actual position, and it makes it practically impossible for those players to actually follow up on the call. So I don't know, just something that I thought we should probably focus on as a team to actually improve it, because I think it would improve our target focus.
So you mean just including positioning, like whenever you're
Yeah.
calling? Yeah, I think it's a big deal for sure. Even just calling like diving tracer back left or like diving on a back right, you know, like including some sort of minimal positioning helps a lot. Yeah.
They have Brig. They wanna play
I'll go
counter dive.
Tracer now. I'll go Tracer now.
Why? No. Don't
No,
go.
no,
don't
no.
go.
Okay, actually. Okay.
They have Brig. It's gonna be like one hit.
Oh
You can
no,
go get-
Well,
She's vision. It's fine.
with us hacked in the back. They see
We might
me.
give time.
Comp you guys are playing is fine. All you have to do is break LOS the entire time, force them to come up the hill, and then now your Somber Doom gets a lot of free value. Like as soon as they come up the hill, just treat this as a choke, and then Somber Doom will immediately like look for the hack on ground. Doom will engage, Casino will engage, Pickle will either engage or Matrix from high ground, or go by himself and contest the Widow. But all you have to do is play defensive in this half of the map.
Yeah, it's
Exactly
fine.
where I am.
Monkey's touching point, I think.
Very well.
Put up walls.
Ready?
monkey hat.
Safe.
Go
I'm
now.
amping is on point.
Sorry.
Lucy hacked. Point.
I'm on point.
Monkey me.
I can EMP on point.
Maybe
yeah.
that's good idea, I
Monkey
guess.
me.
Like,
D.Va one, D.Va dead.
I'll just die on point. I'm getting my ult anyway. Okay, it's just die on point now. Don't get bad spawns. Try to jump off if you have bad spawns.
I'm jumping off.
Yeah, just get out. Don't give them rolls. Alright.
I'm gonna wait for you guys. I'm setting up behind them, and I can EMP.
They'll probably be close to next beat, and they might have monkeys ult.
No, you're fine. It's early. Yeah, definitely
Monkey
one.
one.
There was non-boost.
Where's the Widows on far
Back.
background?
Yep.
I don't
Yes,
know.
yes. The counter
Ready
diving.
to EMP.
Can't help you, man. No,
Okay,
wait,
going
wait,
for it. Three,
wait.
two, one.
No, don't go.
Okay, sorry.
Uh,
Yeah.
just wait next, I guess.
Oh no.
I'm gonna use my beat if when they are engaged.
There are no questions about that. That was so fucking retarded.
Tell me whenever you're ready. I can speed.
So, yeah, so you guys have last fight now.
Diva hack.
Need to really use
Go for D.Va.
whatever you can to make sure you win this fight. So right now, worrying about overblowing ultis or things like that is kind of unimportant, because you need to win this fight or you lose the map. But if you win this fight, it's very easy to stabilize like they did to you guys and just hold this corner the entire time.
That's the one, by the way.
You know what? Automatic.
So I don't want to see anybody dying with ults here.
You can see the wall.
I'm amping.
No monkey.
Lucy hacked. Right side. Low.
Really.
Oh fuck, that's a Widow.
Okay.
That. No, thank you.
Brig.
D.Va hacked. Payload.
Come point. Brigitte still hacked. Oh, she's not anymore. Brigitte still off though. She's off.
Yeah. Okay, good. I got another EMP.
Yeah, that's fine. Set up for next fight.
Okay, so let's just talk about how this comp works, okay? And I can send you this thing that I made last night for my contenders team, just for like as a cheat sheet to look at. But the way Sombra Doom works is the longer you guys are peaking. Okay, so say this is just a straight line, okay? And it's just a map. Like it's a new map that Blizzard designed, and it's literally just one straight line, okay? If you're Sombra Doom over here, the longer you peak against the enemy team, when they're playing like a McCree and a Widow or something, the worse it gets for you, right? Because their cross map value just dicks on you. Like it's way better than yours, right? So what you should do as a Sombra Doom comp in general, in these areas where there's like line of sight to play, is you hide behind walls, right? And you don't let the fact that they have Sombra Doom, I mean, they have like a Widow or a McCree or a Hanzo, players who get a lot of cross map value, you don't give them that value until the fight starts, right? And then we'll say this is the choke right here, okay? What you're looking to do as a Sombra Doom comp with maybe like a Winston D.Va back here too, and like the Ana Zen over here or whatever, is as their team is coming through the choke, right? You play proactive and you get the first hack off of the team fight. You always get first hack off, or you get the initial crash off. So what's going to happen is Sombra will come over here at the choke and she'll hack somebody. She'll hack the Lucio, the Winston, the D.Va, or the Rein, okay, in general. And then she'll go, this is hacked. And then immediately, Doom goes, Winston goes, D.Va goes, Sombra goes, okay? You've made so much space now that the Ana Zen back here aren't going to get dived anymore. There's way too much space being made for them. If their team does go and try to like dive the Ana Zen, they're leaving their team in the dust, and now the 4 players who crashed on top of them, on top of the hack target, and the Doom and the Winston who combined their cleave damage are just going to roast like everybody at the choke now. So again, this comp's win conditions is breaking LOS until the fight starts, letting them walk up to the choke, and being very proactive by getting the first hack off before their Sombra, and immediately crashing in before the enemy team. You just crash in with Winston, D.Va, Sombra, Doom. On top of one target, you kill it quickly, and you rotate to the next. So like on first point, when I said, okay, with this comp, you need to be kind of playing passive, and you guys were still peeking them when they had a Widow, how do you win that trade? Like you don't. You just lose that trade. Every second that you peek a Widow as a Sombra, you're losing. Every second you peek a Widow as a Doom or a Winston or a D.Va, you're losing, right? So why would you ever peek it? Let them come through the choke or turn the corner, and then immediately collapse on their team. And you try to win the team fight so quickly that Widow doesn't have time to get picks, or she has very little time to get picks. So you take away the value of their Widow. I don't really see that from you guys too often with the way you play this.
Oh fuck, the Widow got me.
That's why I said on second point earlier, if you just let them come up the hill and you played that half of the team fight, and you never peeked them until then, you'd have so much value because the Widow would never have a free chance to get a pick. And then you would just burn their team so quickly that the Widow did nothing. But you guys are overextending a lot. You were playing very nonchalantly and peeking the Widow, and the Widow is getting free picks still. So it's like, it defeats the purpose of this comp.
Where is she though?
Main. You can be on point.
Oh my. Okay, that's bad.
Okay, that can't happen.
You can be on point.
Oh my.
Yeah. How much time do they have left on the clock?
Main.
140.
You can be on point.
Big unlucky.
Oh my. It's not unlucky. It's just that we didn't talk about who's going to be contesting the payload, and that's when shit like that fucking happens.
Yeah, what happens to me most of the time when I play Doomfist is I just get fucking frustrated because I never like know when we're diving or who we're diving or where we're diving, and then I just like stand still behind the box for like a minute doing nothing. And then I get really frustrated that like I feel the urge to do something at least.
Yeah, but if you guys clarify like where the place is that you want to try to dive every single time, then it makes it a lot easier because then you know like, okay, their team's there, and then your Sombra will just say like, can we dive supports or can we dive D.Va or something? And you guys will go, yeah, and you just all dive it, and then either what'll happen is you make so much space that now they can't stop the hack because they're too worried about other things, so that Sombra gets a free hack off. Or say she'll get a free hack off early, and then you guys are like, or she's like, okay, I hack D.Va, and you just dive down there on the choke where you guys have planned that you're gonna attempt to dive, and then now D.Va's hacked, so you just dive D.Va right away. Or like you dive supports right away. Like so much stuff you guys can do. But clarifying where you want to dive makes it a lot easier for like you as the Doom and Sombra, like really for everybody, because you're all looking to just crash on top of them. And like sometimes when you do the crash, you don't even care about a target because you have so much damage that like if you just like there's a Sombra Doom here and a Winston Diva here, and this is your dive target or like your dive area, just crashing into that with so much cleave from Doom and Winston is almost so good that sometimes you don't even need a target. Like you just get in there and then your Sombra will say like mid fight, okay, Diva hacked, and now you're all down here and you just turn and look at Diva and you kill her. Like it's really easy. You just have to make sure you guys are breaking LOS and you're crashing at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me send you guys that cheat sheet I made. It's kind of disorganized. I just made it last night at like 4 a.m. and it's not done yet, but it kind of gives an idea of what I'm talking about and like why this game is just rock, paper, scissors. And I'll clean this up later. I was supposed to do it later today, but I'll do it after I finish with you guys.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
I haven't played map in so long.
Yeah.
This is
So that just clarifies like
again.
the main comps right now. It's not. It's again. It's unfinished. There's still one more comp to add. But it clarifies the main comps right now. It clarifies what they're good at. It clarifies what their win condition is. It clarifies how to beat their win condition, and it clarifies what comps that are kind of meta right now are kind of popular and contenders that you could just pick to beat it. Right. So it like makes everything super easy.
Genji Sombra dive with Monkey Diva. We can do that. And Ana Lucio, it's pretty strong.
Wanna go Hammond?
No.
Why not? Hammond is actually really good. Alright.
If they have a song, yeah, you're gonna be stuck in walking mode, and it's gonna be. But we have to know. We have to scout where they are first. We can like this is not going blind.
Yeah.
If they hold on the.
Monkey Barna.
Tell me when everyone is ready.
Ana
Ready.
Soldier in the back.
Yeah, let's get a San.
Is everyone ready?
2, 1, going. San.
They're counter diving you.
I'm dead.
Okay, and that's break.
Okay, then
Brig hack.
you just get out.
Brig hack. Okay.
Try to set up faster. Don't wait 30 seconds for the first engage. Go back, Yoshi. Go back.
Did we get naded
I'm
mid
not-
dive or before that?
Going. San.
Before dive, yeah.
You try guys out.
It's like almost at the exact same time you guys press your movement cooldowns. But if you
Going.
guys noticed, yeah, no, okay. It's so close that I almost can't blame you guys for still diving. Because they did. I think they might have even hit your Winston and your Diva, like literally right as they press shift. So, unfortunate. But again, probably shouldn't have gotten naded anyway.
Diva could have eaten
Is
the.
everyone ready?
Yeah, I mean, if Ana plays it correctly, their Ana's kind of dumb for throwing this nade, to be honest. Like, this nade should not have hit. So she's dumb for throwing it. She should have saved it for when they dived up.
Yeah.
And then, especially with the comp they're playing, Ana Soldier, if she just nades the ground and Soldier drops healing pad, you guys are playing a pretty low damage dive. Like, you probably wouldn't have even won that dive anyway. So she's dumb for throwing that. But it did work. So, kind of gotta be careful there.
2, 1, going. San.
They're counter diving you.
So yeah, you get counter dive, you get naded, you're gonna counter dive you now. Nothing you can do.
That's break.
Brig hack. Okay.
Try to set up faster. Don't wait 30 seconds for the first engage. Go back, Yoshi. Go back. That soldier over here is annoying. It's fine.
Nah, it's only gonna.
Try to go from left side. Come here.
Alright.
Okay, nice.
It's one of the very few maps where you can get away with playing like Ana Brig as your only healers because you can play the soldier, and the soldier and Ana combine together to be really, really good healing. And also they make so much space that Ana's never really too scared. Like, so the Zen right now is not really needed from their team, to be honest. He could be another DPS. So they would just play these three, and the soldier would act as like an artificial healer, and they'd all play right here. And just chill. And there's nothing you could do. You can never send a tracer behind anymore, because Brig would just hear it and kill her. You can never send a dive up there, because Ana will just nade the ground, soldier will drop healing pad, Brig will swing, and even the swing will be amped from Ana. Like, it's fine. It's so good. And then once you realize, oh, we can't dive that anymore, well, now you never dive Ana, and Ana just heals everything by herself. It's like, it's actually really good. I really hate Brig Ana, to be honest, like almost everywhere, but this is one map where it's okay.
Alright.
Okay, nice.
I think we should
Oh
have.
my god.
Come on, come on, come on.
Monkey, no jump.
Upper monkey, upper monkey, upper monkey.
No boosters, no boosters, no jump.
Ana dead, Ana dead.
Wait, so what's wrong with Brianna?
Someone.
Overall, the healing is just pretty bad. Like, teams try to make Ana Brig work too much, but the thing is, Brig never heals unless she's swinging, right? So like, if their team, so if it's a different map, okay, that's why I said on the Bonnie it's okay, but on almost every other map in the game, if you run Ana Brig, okay, and they play something like a double spam comp, like a Pharmacy Hanzo, right? Something that makes it so your Brig can never get on top of them and actually swing. How is she going to heal your team, right? Other than the healing she gets every 8 seconds, which is trash, like the armor pack, it's not nearly enough. So what ends up happening is now you have an Ana trying to solo heal the entire team, and like it's just not enough against a lot of comps. So you guys get deleted, right? Here though, for them to get in range to LOS you with like the Hanzo and the Pharah, they'd have to be almost close enough that your soldier would immediately get value. So every time it's very awkward for them, so they can't run stuff like that. So this is okay, but in general, what'll happen when our team sees a team play Ana Brig is we'll just swap to a spammy comp or swap to a double DPS comp. We won't play goats anymore, and we'll just like not walk into him. And now Brig does nothing the entire time. So now the entire fight it's 65, and it's just easy. Like it's completely fine. I hate it. I hate it so much. Especially like when I'm like boosting friends in solo queue or just playing like on my Smurf accounts. And even in high SR this happens, but like especially in like Masters or low GM, I'll join the game and they'll pick Ana Brig or like Ana Moira. I mean, not sorry, Ana Brig, or they'll pick like Brig Moira, and it tilts me to no end because like you can't explain to solo queue players why it's bad. It's not worth the time, and now you just have to play with this like terrible healing comp, right? And it's even worse in scrims because in scrims top tier teams will just recognize like, oh, they're running Brig Ana or they're running Brig Moira, just play this, and then you just get rolled the entire time, and teams are like don't understand what's going wrong, like, and it's obvious. Like right now, if you guys just never got in range of Toasty, what would Toasty ever do? Like literally nothing, right? So you would just win.
Right, okay. That's a good point.
Break it over.
So what would you do? You'd like jump and like use bubble to cut LOS of the NI heals and then just like kill the tanks, right?
In this map in particular, if they're playing this comp where the Zen's not really needed, looking at your guys' comp, this is a bit too slow to work. Like if you guys have lost this fight too. So yeah, you actually might get full hold here if they play this correctly, but the only way you can win this fight is off of EMP Blade or EMP Nano Blade, and that's going to take a bit too much time to ramp, because if they play this correctly, they'll know the fights where you guys are looking at EMP Nano Blade, and they'll just flank Visor or flank Nano Visor. So when you guys dive up there with EMP Nano Blade, the soldier will late peek somewhere, and he'll get nanoed. Or they'll Nano Visor proactively before you guys can get the EMP Nano Blade off and kill you. And like there's so much stuff they could do, but if you guys wanted to win this team fight, what teams would do in NA is they do the Symmetra Goats, where you replace Zarya here because Zarya is trash on the Bonnie, and you just play Symmetra and you play completely standard Goats, and you send TP up the entire team up here, and they just rush the corner with Ryan, D.Va, Brig, and you just delete everybody playing here, or everybody playing over here, or like the Zen Ana Brig are. I mean the Ana Brig soldier are, like, and you just walk into them, and if they don't respect it, they'll get ran over by Goats. If they do respect it, they'll drop down on the ground. But the problem is now they have no verticality, so Goats will just walk down and kill them too. The Symmetric Ghost is really popular here against top tier teams, or top tier teams in NA. With some other comps that work okay. Trying to remember. Our team plays that on this map, and we do really well. There's not really a lot of counters to it right now. I think in current meta, Pharah would be okay if you send her alone with, or I guess just a pharmacy alone over here, and have them spam out a bit into their team, because they're probably not going to play a McCree on the Bonnie defense, and then you guys can get value, force out some cooldowns, and then dive in. But the way that I'm looking at this right now, your Genji is actually not going to get a lot of value into these three heroes, and they're running the Zen, so Genji gets even less value. Probably swap carry here, or swap the Sombra. But yeah, playing a standard dive like this won't work into their team comp.
actually
That's
2 bars. Can we kill monkey? Is it doable?
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
Okay, so next fight,
Okay, unlucky. You can
Excuse me,
pop ult as
next
well if you
fight?
feel like.
they'll have visor. They should know that you're coming in with blade, or maybe EMP blade if they have tracked your EMP correctly. So again, he'll play proactively and visor you early, or he'll flank visor as you guys are engaging with your blade, and he'll trade out.
Lucky. You can pop ult as well if you feel like.
No, no, no. I'm just wasted. There was no one else to be with me, so it doesn't matter. Soldier was still in the back.
It's fine, it's fine. Just group up again. We have blade coming up soon. They should be close to trans, so we might want to go with the dry fight, hard engage on the Zen and force the trans off him.
Yeah.
You can even fake blading by shifting to him.
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, no,
Tell
no.
me when you're ready.
Yeah, tell me when everyone is ready. The soldier on the Agon. Brigitte, fuck up the shift.
Okay, let's get a high round quick. Soldier, free.
Keep in mind too, with the way that they're playing this, you guys could probably just go from under and dive upward, like we talked about on Gibraltar, because it gives you closer LOS. Like especially if the Ana's playing here and that's your goal, going from here to here is way easier than going from here to here.
Brigitte, fuck up the shift.
Okay, let's get a high round quick. Soldier, free.
I'm not ready, but I'm coming.
Soldier.
I'm on Ana one.
Soldier dead. Ana dead.
Monkey on point, no bubble. Monkey
Okay,
on point,
you
no
pick
bubble.
on Soldier, you pick on Ana. So you guys have guaranteed this fight. I don't know why they didn't trance. I don't know why they didn't visor.
Monkey on point, no bubble. Monkey on point, no bubble.
I'm on break. Anderson.
And now they use ults.
Okay, we got.
Okay.
Nice.
I can EMP after this. I can EMP.
You can EMP.
EMPing in 3, 2, 1 now.
I'm low. They're gonna die.
Send it.
Leave a hand round.
Targets, boys.
Dead.
Monkey hack, monkey hack, monkey hack.
Monkey one.
Diva.
Soldier behind.
Soldier. Soldier, you ulted.
There's only Sombra, but if we can go fast, we can win with the phones. Or actually not. We have to wait for next, I guess. Go with Blade next. Try to farm Nano, and we can Nano. They use Visor, they use Transcendence. They have no counter for it.
That Pram and Dia bomb though, so.
Yeah, Primal Demon Bomb, I think, yeah.
Yeah. They didn't use Nano yet though. They should have it. That was a big ult.
Yeah, maybe the Devil Nano Monkey.
So I'm pretty sure they've patched the Brig thing, right? Where she can like okay. I've heard from somebody else though that that's not completely patched. Like there's still a way you can do it somewhat. Is that true? You guys know?
No.
Play, but we can
I'll have to look into
Nano,
it.
farm Nano, wait. Take some damage, thanks.
Yeah, so you guys calling the farm nano is really good. It would be really dumb to just go for standard blade here. Especially when you guys can just use one really expendable ulti, like a kind of throwaway ult to guarantee you win the fight. So yeah, just looking to farm nano here. If they don't peek you, of course tanks can always just peek and take a bit of damage and finish this up quickly. But
Take some damage, thanks.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're
Say
90,
so then.
just a little bit. Okay, nice, we can go whenever. We can go whenever.
Yikes.
No.
Okay, that can't happen.
No.
Diva hack.
Is have a really bad habit of jumping the gun. Yeah, that's really bad. So we'll just leave it at that, okay? Don't do that.
Diva hack.
Nano Monkey,
Pretty
Nano Monkey, keep up the
self-explanatory.
fight.
No. Send that. Ana.
Okay, try to get out now. We have another MP.
Monkey hack.
So it looks like
I'm just gonna jump off.
Laszlo dies here. Okay, shouldn't die with beat realistically.
I'm jumping.
Monkey
Primal.
one.
Need to use ults. None of you like these should be coming out right now.
We need to touch.
I'm coming.
The longer you let this fight go on without burning ults, the worse it gets for your team.
EMP.
Okay, now we're finally ulting. But again, like I just said, the longer you wait to ult here in these situations, the worse it gets for your team. Now they're rallying, now they're visoring. So even if you guys win this team fight, the mindset was incorrect.
3, 3, 1 now.
Come right now.
Doesn't matter. He can still visor. She can still rally. They're impede.
I'm one. Sorry, is that on the right side?
Yeah. So basically, what we called, and what we called it, we talked about in Gibraltar too.
It's on the right side.
And it doesn't make sense in these do or die situations, like, because I've seen this like 3 times now from you guys on different maps or on 2 different maps. Like, dying with ultis like this makes no sense. Or like waiting until the end of the fight to pop the ulti makes no sense.
Like when I would have wanted to EMP the point, but I just saw a monkey fucking really separated, and like we were fighting that monkey when I would have wanted to ult, but I thought maybe killing that monkey is more important than getting an EMP on point. Maybe I'm
Nah, like your guys' mindset going into that should have been like, okay, fuck the monkey. We're just gonna like fight on point, force him to come to us, and then the monkey has to come to us, and then we still get him too with EMP. Like, you get this should be stuff that you guys have planned out prior to the fight anyway, so that there's no confusion in the first place. So like, like Laszlo being in a position where he can't beat because like it won't hit the team, that shouldn't happen because prior to the fight you guys should have said like, okay, we're gonna fight on point, they're gonna drop down, and then we'll EMP and beat. Like you can say stuff like that all the time before fights, but yeah, like you guys waited too long. We did get the ults out, that's fine, but by the time you got him out, Shootinji, Toasty, I think Winston even got primal off that fight. Like it just took so long. So you guys keep putting yourself in these like do or die situations, and then you don't use ults.
So what I found as well, like from my perspective, doing wrong is like their fucking Winston was like, who's that Shootingi, like the mega rune there. Like their Winston was spy checking that with Diva all the time. So I wasn't able to like flank from the stairs. So what I should have done was like go from main and go from there behind them to like right side. And I didn't do that once, so I lost like a shit ton of ult charge by just having to relocate back again and again and again.
Yeah, I feel you.
One factor as well.
Yeah, and I think teams are getting better too at realizing like who or like how many people can actually spy check. Like realistically, Zen can spy check, Ana can even spy check. Like all these people can spy check and people don't do it, and they just leave it up to the Diva or the Winston. And teams are gonna realize pretty soon like, oh, like all of us are doing nothing. Like we could literally all just be spy checking like during downtime. And it wouldn't be too bad.
Touching
But yeah, it was good of them to make sure you can't come from bottom, for sure. But yeah, like you have a lot of options. You can go around. You can go like main over, like you said, a lot of stuff. Okay, so this map's over. Yeah, they full held. This is a comp that's either going to do really well or really poorly. I do not like this comp because I don't like comps that do really well or really poorly. I like comps that are pretty consistent, and the better you are at the comp, the better your results will be. I think that's a good way to play Overwatch. Rather than just cheesing and hoping that this weird shit works. Like, again, this Zen is not needed with this comp. It's overkill. It's like super overkill. But luckily, you guys played a comp with these 2 heroes. Like, it's really boned by them having the Zen. So it's unlucky that they're playing a bad comp, but it's lucky that you guys are playing a comp that's beaten by the bad comp. So where you guys went wrong is you stay on the same comp for 4 minutes, even though you realize that you're counter comped, right? Where they went wrong is they opened the map up on a shitty comp, where this hero should not even be Zen. This should be a DPS, like a Sombra, a Genji, a Doom, a Hanzo even. But yeah, this is I think kind of a case of you guys not understanding what their win condition is. So you don't understand that you need to swap, or you don't understand what their win condition is. So you don't understand what you need to swap to, right? So you end up going like, okay, well, we just messed up the dive, so we'll just keep playing this. And even if you dived well, this comp would still do okay. Which is why you guys have that cheat sheet now.
Bring it on.
Excuse me. Map 4.
Unlucky. What's the cheese you want to do? Because I don't have any
same
cheese
map, just
strat in
defense.
mind.
Okay.
I just have like this Dumpy Sombra living. With Dumpy Sombra, pile dive. Depends.
He's not.
Just play the show Diva, then the main tank I play whatever. Up to you, man.
We've been playing a lot of Winston, Diva, Orisa. Which is like a strat that I've been working on with the team that I don't think anybody else plays right now. It's actually really, really good. On maps where it's already hard to get the Winston Diva off high ground, now it's even harder. Like, you know how teams spawn trap Dorado and they'll put. Actually, I can just do this. Okay. They'll put like players up here, right? And then you end up having to like burn resources to get them off the high ground, because otherwise they'll just keep the cart locked right here the entire time. I don't know how common it is in your guys' region, but in like Korea and NA, it's been pretty popular for like 2 years. So what we do right now is we put Winston D.Va here, put an Orisa shield right here, and then we put Hanzo, Ana, Zen behind the Orisa shield. So when they jump up to contest the Winston D.Va, they just get deleted by these 3 heroes, especially because Orisa just got buffed, so this comp's even better, and they get farmed. Or if they commit resources to go up here and kill the Ana, Zen, Hanzo, they've committed too many resources to do that. So now our Winston D.Va just drops down on cart and spawn traps and kills the people on cart. And we've been full holding Dorado right here for the past like week, and nobody knows what to do. It's really good. And I'm thinking, we haven't tried it yet on the Bonnie defense, but it's almost the same premise, and it would probably work. Because you could just put like Winston D.Va here, Orisa shield, Ana, Zen, Soldier. And now they can't play pharmacy over here anymore. They can't dive up here because Winston D.Va will counter dive, and this is way too much damage from the Ana and the Soldier healing. I don't know, it could be good. But that comp has worked for us really well for the past like 2 weeks now, week or two.
You can even play Orisa for what the matter.
And it's like brain dead easy. It's so easy. You just have to have a DPS who can play Orisa to a decent extent.
That's all in the ag.
Soldier, Monkey, Zen, Doom.
Yeah, don't ever allow the soldiers to get aggron. Because if he gets aggron, we lose the fight.
Yeah, you got to stay there last fight.
Let's do our best, I guess.
Genji, Soldier.
Where are they pushing?
They're coming main for now. Soldier's main at least.
Can you
can just go and they got it.
Cheers.
Sorry, sir.
Upper monkey. They're counter diving. Try to break bubble, so we can heal.
What's up there?
Develop.
Get us here.
Monkey hacked.
Get that inside, man.
Where's the low?
Monkey purple.
This one.
Dead.
I'm healing. Don't let Diana and Soldier stay on the aggron. Nice. Good job, man, good job.
D1.
Good counter dive.
Doomfist with you. Genji from main.
Should stagger her.
Stagger mini.
Ah, my bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
Nice.
Yeah, that was like a 20-second stagger.
Nice.
They're
Careful, Doomfist.
I have
Nice.
dual.
Yeah, it's fine. You got the pick. Okay, you're back. We can heal Doomfist. Nice. We are getting close to EMP. We can try to farm that. Usually they will have no support ults anyway.
Yeah,
and no visor anyway.
There should be like 40 off.
Okay, with this comp, and like you can see it in the spreadsheet I gave you guys, or the little note sheet, you need to play very proactively, because this comp doesn't do great if you let them in for too long. Like the longer the team fight goes, the worse it gets, like we talked about earlier. So you want to identify the choke here, which is anywhere from here to here. Okay, one of those 2 areas. And you want to get the dive executed in those ranges. I get you guys are looking to counter dive a bit with this comp, but you need to take that a bit less literally, and just understand that you're trying to dive proactively, right? And sometimes being proactive is baiting them in, but this is not one of those cases, because this is a team fight where even if you have a really good ult tracker, it's going to be kind of hard to tell, because the comp they're playing, where Soldier's at on Visor, where Ana's at on Nano. You know, you can't really tell these too well. These are some of the heroes that, even when I was doing analysis work with top tier supports, that they weren't getting too right, or as right as they were getting, like the Lucios and the Winstons and things that you could kind of track a bit easier, because they're a bit more consistent, right? Like Winston, for every second he's Teslaing, you can kind of track. When Soldier's shooting right now, it's really hard to tell, like, is he hitting headshots? Is he hitting body shots? Dude, I have no idea. Like, so it's even a top tier RGL might go, okay, Soldier has Visor here, just to be safe. If that's the case, what happened earlier was I said, you guys need to burn the ultis, because if you wait too long, they're going to counter like pressure with their own ults, right? It's the same premise here. It's 2:43 on the clock. You guys have been doing well, so you're coming up on ultis, but you have to assume they may be coming up on ultis too. So what I want to see here from you guys is the Sombra's up here. She's pressuring for EMP. It's really good from you. You should be doing that. But I want to see you guys probably playing aggressive here and not giving him the space to go for like the nano visor. And even though they don't have it, that should be your mindset, right? Because you don't want it to happen. And then if you win this fight, the people who didn't burn their ults will have their ults now because you cycled. Like you cycled correctly. So now they'll burn their ults. And then people who use their ults this fight will have them back again. So you guys will just keep cycling over and over. One fight you'll have EMP. Next fight you'll use Doom multi. One fight you'll have EMP Nano Winston. Next fight you use Doom multi, right? You just keep cycling and cycling and snowballing, but you need to get yourself into the region where you've won so many team fights now that you can just snowball them for the rest of the map. And you're still one team fight away from that. And this is the critical team fight where you need to win. So seeing you guys counter dive, the problem with that is this is a critical fight that you need to win, but counter diving gives them space to get in, and it gives them extra options to go for their own play. So it's a bit risky. So I'd like to see you guys be a bit more aggressive on this fight. This is the critical fight for you guys. Either you win this and you snowball, or you lose this and you lose the map, most likely. At least at a high level.
Are going for top right.
Yeah, they wanna get soldier on the high ground. So that's the win condition. Just try to deny that over and over again. Monkey counter diving. Break bubble. Okay, nice.
I don't know what they're doing.
Nice, good pick. You're purple, Dimo, continue.
No.
Wait, our tanks have alpha HP. It's fine, even if you got only mech. Oh, unlucky. Kill the monkeys, purple.
Monkey one.
Nice. Okay, doable.
That's pretty good from you guys. You recognize the win condition, or like the pathing that they're going to take. I don't know if you recognize the win condition 2 correctly, but you recognize the pathing they're going to take, and you played aggressive off of it, which is really good. But they're still out now. You guys went a bit overextended, so you probably could have waited just a bit for them to actually clear and come in, and then use your cleave. The problem is, you guys tried to play into their defender's advantage, right? So I saw some of you like actually walking in here and pressuring the stroke a bit too much. You want to avoid having to go in there as much as possible, and would rather just kind of cleave them out in the open here, so that your full team can help you. So I like the mindset that you guys had to play aggressive into them, but that was a bit too much. If they were like down here, for example, it would be a bit easier because the entire time, like your Ana could be back here healing, or your supports could be up top, like an Ana could throw an anti down there. There's so much stuff you guys could do, but mindset was good. Execution was kind of bad though. So what's gonna happen is, yeah, okay, so they're gonna nanovisor. Probably should have primaled there, and then I don't know. Well, maybe you died at 99 or something, but if not, definitely should have primaled, and then probably should have EMP'd too if you had it.
I'm dropping down. I'm playing back.
I'm dead.
So now what's gonna happen is, knowing you guys, you may ult again, just to guarantee that you win this fight. Suma just got 2 picks, which is really good. They're not paying attention, but knowing you guys and the track record you've had for the past like 3 maps we just watched, there's a good chance that somebody blows an ulti here, just to like guarantee win the fight. But it defeats the purpose because it should have come out like way later,
Dropping down. I'm playing back.
or way earlier. Excuse me.
It's fine. Give up a tick.
I can
So
EMP
kill nanovisor, or kill Doomfist nanovisor.
Yeah, if we can get there with
Kill
the-
Ana.
yeah, blade as well.
Kill this in.
Okay, so same premise, right? We just said, okay, we're gonna EMP high ground, but too little, too late, and this is gonna be a fight lost. So basically, just give this up.
If we can get there with the monkey.
In the beginning of the fight, did we have vision in main? Then is that?
I don't know, because I think your
Like-
Sombra was in the backline farming EMP, so she might not have.
Yeah, I was there because I was scouting for the where the squishies were coming from.
Right, yeah.
Yes, plane.
Okay, this recontest is.
I go point.
I mean, you're primaling. I don't think you should win this recontest, in my opinion, especially because he still has Blade, and I think they still have a healer somewhere. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong about that. Either way, though, him having Blade alone and them still having 2 full HP tanks makes this recontest really weird for me guys, because it's really inconsistent, and I don't know if I like it too much.
Go on the soldier. Yeah, I go point. It's fine.
This guy should not die to primal
Nice,
either.
dead.
Monkey low. I'm going for soldier.
Primal come in.
Oh fucking shit.
Once.
Keep fighting.
Kill Lazo.
Targets, boys.
Be back. Fine.
Oh no, no point.
Don't Z9.
Oh no.
Genji ball.
Okay.
On a 1 point.
Monkey
Shred
hacked.
ult, man. I'm naded. Fuck. Yeah, we lost this. Get out. Try not to stagger.
Yeah, okay. So it ended up being kind of just an old charge feed. They have Nano Visor next fight again.
Wait for me, Nana. You have no heals. I'm speeding around from Storm. They have Genji Blade still. I'm saving beat for it.
They should dry push you here most likely, unless this fight extends too long, and you guys farm something without actually like killing it, and then Ana gets Nano. But otherwise, they should dry push.
Still, I'm saving beat for it.
Soldier is already on the high ground.
Oh wait, I lied. I thought you guys said EMP, but you don't. No, they definitely win this fight if they play this correctly.
High ground.
Yeah, it's fine. Just group up and then we have to contest him. Try to play on the ground as well. Come with me, Anna. We go on the stairs.
Okay, so emphasizing grouping up here is really good. This is just like Gibraltar's second point, where if you don't emphasize grouping up and instead like players just keep getting picks, there's a good chance you only get like one team fight here. So emphasizing grouping a 6 is really good.
Perfect.
Diva hacked on point.
Go for Diva.
I'm getting really split here.
Diva hacked on point.
Go for Diva. Go for Diva.
Didn't really get value from the Nano because everything was kind of like cluttered there. Probably could have afforded to walk up a bit further, and then you guys commit.
Healing.
Diva's one.
Diva's one.
Like the soldier pick was good, but you realistically probably would have gotten that anyway.
When they start walking, so they don't engage with blade, and I can save beat for next fight.
All right.
Yeah, that's good IGLing.
I'm going for the EMP. 3, 2, 1.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, nice, perfect.
Okay, they have a blade on them.
Good play.
They have Visor.
Genji behind you. They have both DPS ult.
I can only counter one of them, and they wanna do Nano Visor first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my ult when
They should want a Nano Blade almost always instead of Nano Visor first. Nano Visor is a bit worse than Nano Blade.
Can you heal me a bit? Just for a bit?
Yeah, where is it?
Thanks.
I'm back with you guys.
I'm ready.
Nading in.
Okay. So I think I talked to you guys about this before, but what do you do when they have like 6 ults, for instance, and you have 0? Like, how should you play the team fight? Passively or aggressively?
Guess. I think pass.
Okay, sorta, right? So if you guys are really close to ultis, then you should play passive, okay? So like Yosho's coming up on Nano, but we weren't able to get it before they bladed. Okay, so passive was a bit risky here. Suo was close to Doomfist ulti, but when you play passive into these situations, it only works if you get ultis before the fight starts because you delayed their engage. The problem is here, we didn't really delay their engage too much because it's very easy for them to just turn the corner and go because of the way this map layout works. So what should really happen is when they're coming into the ult or the team fight with like 6 ultis and you have 0, you should basically assume like, okay, we're probably not gonna win this one, boys, but we're gonna like stall card out, right? That's what a lot of teams will say. That's a good mindset. But the way you should think about it is like, okay, even though they have 6 ultis or they have like a huge combo coming up and we have nothing to defend against it, we still don't have to get 6-0'd where they just kill 6 of our heroes and we kill none of them, right? So what you can do, and what you'll see a lot, and you actually see it from Pickle right now. It's not that big of a deal. Every diva does it, and it's like something that even contenders players need to fix. But you're going back right now to peel the blade away. But realistically, he should get Nano as soon as I am pause, and then you being diva coming back and peeling should mean literally nothing. Like your Matrix is not going to stop a Nano Blade / dash combo. So you coming back and investing resources, anybody coming back and investing resources to peel right now is actually the wrong play for the most part. Unless you're a Brig or a McCree, you're not going to stop Nano Blade, okay? Unless you're a 4500 Ana and you're sleeping Genji Blades every other blade, you're probably not going to slap this blade if he plays this correctly. So instead, and this is how you get 6-0'd, is you've committed resources and you're not going to get anything from it unless this guy's a bot and he's just bad at blading, okay? So what's going to happen is you guys are committing all these resources to go back and peel, but you get nothing. So now you've committed resources. Now that you've already had the advantage of nano blading, you've had nothing, so they should 6-0 you now, okay? If they play this correctly, it's a top-tier team. In this case, I get it. Like you guys are burning ults a bit and things like that. It's whatever. Maybe you don't get 6-0'd here, but just keep in mind this premise, right? So what should actually happen is in these cases where they have like 6 ults and you have 0, is instead of counter diving and playing very passively, because now you guys aren't able to delay the engage long enough, you should actually just trade out, by super hard diving their backline, okay? Because they've committed the resources to make sure this blade works. So what should actually happen is if this is a top tier scrim, is when Toasty comes in here, he should not be here by himself right now. He should be in here, but there should be a Winston hard diving U2. There should be a Diva hard diving U2. At least either one or both of them, minimum, so that he has space that you can do nothing about him, right? So a lot of times, what I said a second ago is every other team fight, the Genji blade should get slept, okay? And that's true. But if you watch Korea, where they're really, really good at dive, the Genji blade will rarely ever get slept because the Winston will jump in first and just int dive. And then what is the Ana going to do now? She doesn't have time to look for the Genji and sleep him and stuff. She's getting pressured by Winston. So how this would work is Winston would jump in first. Either Diva would play on the back line, knowing that you guys are going to try to dive it, or she'd go with the Winston. Now the Genji jumps in because he has tons of space with Nano Blade, and they've enabled him, and their tanks are going to die now, in most cases, but their Genji Blade's going to get like a 5k. And then you guys will go, okay, we can't do anything about that. There's like literally nothing we can do. So you guys would dive their support line, and you'd at least kill the supports, or you'd kill the supports and the Diva, best case scenario. And you'd still lose this fight, most likely, but you'd get 3 kills, right? That's way better than getting nothing. So going into these fights like this, and again, I don't care whether you guys win or lose this fight. It's not why I'm talking about this. But going into fights in general, in scrims or in tournament setting, where you guys will go, okay, they have 6 ults here. We probably lose this, boys. Let's just dry push. That's fine. Okay, but make sure A, cart's never moving, and B, you guys don't get 6-0'd. Like, dive on their backline. Kill the places where they don't have resources anymore because they've committed so much to make sure the blade works. That's how you counter these team fights. They'll still win it if they're a top tier team, but you're not going to get 6-0'd anymore. Like, a lot of your players are going to build ult charge. A lot of your players are going to maybe even pick up a kill or 2, right? It's really, really good. But only play passive if you can guarantee that you hold off their engage for so long that maybe now Yosho has Nano or Doom has ulti. But here it doesn't really fit, like I said, because basically immediately they can turn the corner, jump in and go. Yeah, that's a premise you guys should have, though. And I see that even in contenders. I see it in some AL games that I analyze, like when I was starting to get into coaching, and it makes no sense.
So right now you guys beat. You're gonna use Doom ulti. So it's not gonna be too bad. You guys could actually trade out here. That's because they played this blade so poorly. Like they should have 6-0'd you guys. Based on the mindset that you guys have.
On high ground, on the boost.
I don't know. They may win
this.
this.
Genji 1 point.
Winston 1 point.
Yeah,
Nice.
Winston low.
I'm healing, you have no
on the spawn.
Okay, they're going back.
Okay, nice. You guys end up holding anyway, but that's because, like I said, they don't enable their Genji blade too well. And again, like we're not really caring about this specific team fight. It's just more the mindset. Again, so what they should have done there when Toasty bladed is Winston int dives and Diva goes with to keep the Winston alive for a bit longer, or Diva stays with the supports, knowing that you guys have the good mindset and are going to try to dive the supports now to counter the blade instead of diving back and peeling the blade. So she'll stay with the support to keep them alive. But they did neither of those things. Instead, what they did is they just sent blade alone and just hoped that it popped off, and it did literally nothing. Oh, also, if you noticed, Kazakh didn't nano the blade, so Toasty's probably pretty tilted right now on their team.
Careful monkey, I can kill you.
Yeah, I was that.
They're break now.
Okay, all the way back. We have one more fight if we group up. Just go all the way back. Yeah, they have break, it's fine. Next.
No, monkey.
Yeah, we're coming with monkey.
Actually.
Go all the way back, don't overextend. Wait for Doom Piston monkey.
Right, I'm here, but
Soldiers
I need
Soldiers main. So they have an visor, I think.
Okay, I'm ready.
No,
Okay. Spinning in. Monkey's high ground behind. Drop down, Doom Piston, drop down, I can tell you.
A9 mini room, right side.
Soldier high ground behind us.
Soldier.
What up? I'm rolling.
They have hacked.
We lost mini, but they have no soldier.
No.
We need. Not now, I guess. Save it for next. Just stagger fight, we lost this. Should die on point and yeah, that's it, or get out.
Yeah.
Okay, they use primal, they still have the bomb.
They use primal and they use the only primal, yeah.
Carry, spawn camp, Bridget. He's coming alone.
No, they are speed.
Okay, so Laszlo staying on Lucy here is fine because he's close to beat. He'll get beat this fight. This is another one of those examples, though, where you can keep like an Ana Zen so far back that if they try to dive it, they've committed too many resources, and you guys will just pressure their backline now, and you would kill them, like we talked about on Gibraltar. Or you'd go back and you'd peel, and they would die too quickly. So
Running the Anas in here is really good too.
He's coming alone. He's coming alone.
No,
Because
they are speed
again, if you look at the map, long sight line, exact same thing.
He's coming alone.
No, they are speed boosting the beach.
Okay.
That loses out now.
Okay,
Yeah, break.
nice. Get there, I get.
Whoops, skipped way too far.
Okay,
Yeah, break
where you wanna go?
Fight 7 now boost. Actually, not able to get this fight.
Monkey's behind, on the far right.
I can EMP if you want.
Yeah, whenever you want. Ready speed.
3, 2, 1, going. Soldier.
Okay, good.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Get there, inside.
Needing.
Break.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
They have Visor, they have Briggs, ult. They should be close to beat, I guess.
Yeah.
They still have
they will
Diva.
Yeah,
The soldier pushing no ground.
We should have that now.
Monkey high ground. Kill monkey.
Nice.
Nice.
Soldier's main.
Soldier and Omega. Okay, soldier drop.
Soldier off HP. Okay, he's getting healed. Get all the way back.
Give up. No, my god.
Careful, Doom. Soldier 1. Soldier dead.
We can fight if you want.
No.
Yes, stay on payload, it's fine.
Let's go back. They are already lost.
They're coming high ground, someone coming down, Divan coming.
Monkey low. They dropped high ground. No, they're still here. Okay, monkey drop.
They're coming, they may be diving me, I'll speed out when they come.
Yeah.
I'm peeking for heals.
Yeah, come back.
Peeking for heals as well.
It's probably gonna be last fight, can I?
God, they got me.
No.
I'm gonna die. Yep.
Okay. So you guys committed a bit deep into their defender's advantage, so into their side of the choke. Whereas again, like I talked about earlier, you should just consider this right here, the dive point, the crash point with the Sombra Doom. You just crash right there, because then it's in your half of the defender's advantage, not in here. So now when these players on their team turn the corner, they're turning the corner into you, okay? But right now what's happening is as you start the fight, every time you turn the corner, again, they have defender's advantage. So they already have their crosshairs placed. They already have their spam coming out. You guys don't have your crosshairs placed, and you can't spam around your corner. You can't curve bullets in this game. So it's a bit awkward for you guys to use this area as your dive point rather than this.
Ball.
Don't use anything else, save EMP, don't use...
Yeah. So.
We have Diva bomb close, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. Oh man, get up. There's a monkey here.
Ball.
Bombing point.
Wait.
I can touch, they'll stun me.
It's huge.
Nice.
I don't want.
Big nade on the backline.
Yeah.
Help Piranha.
I'm dead.
I'm dead as well. Point.
Oh no.
Okay, no big deal. Third point, you lost that because of one simple mistake of that dive. Second point, kind of critical errors in the mindset, I think, and the way that you guys approach some of the team fights. First point, we talked about what went wrong, so it's no big deal. First point I was actually the happiest with, because like the team fight you guys lost on first was good mindset, which is really good. That's what I care about. It was just bad execution, but it's super easy to fix execution. It's a bit harder to fix mindset, so like that's good. So first point was okay. Second point was meh. It was like a 5 out of 10. Third point was okay, except for that one small error. So pretty good, honestly. Not that big of a deal. They still only capped in overtime, and they still barely capped. So I mean, obviously you guys got first held or on first point on attack, but we talked about why. And that is all the VODs. Do you guys have any questions?
So we have like there's one more VOD we can go through, but I'm not sure. Is it more beneficial to like go through like because it's like a shorter VOD of like just defense on Horizon, because we made the same mistake of like grouping up, and like the Genji got like was getting like a 5 or 6K blade every time, because I guess we weren't like bracket. Or we could go over drills. I guess I mean are there any like drills we could potentially work on to like improve, or like map rotations and stuff like that?
Just depends on what you guys want to improve on. Like, what do you think is like a critical area you guys have right now, or like something you guys just do poorly?
I mean, I've got some thoughts, but I mean, what do you guys think?
I feel like, at least from my perspective, well, not always, but like when we are like playing Sombra comps, I feel like when I'm calling like hacked targets that you guys could engage with, like I feel like people are not either paying attention to the comms, or then there's like no one to actually take charge of the like the initiation, for example. On Numbani first point, when we were like trying to recontest, I know that it was pretty tough to actually make the comeback and stabilize, but still like I called like the hacked diva, and like people were just flooding in from the spawn, like literally walking past the diva, not doing shit. And I'm pretty sure if we had actually focused on that target, we could have demec'd and maybe with a little bit of luck turned it around, but I'm not sure. And that was just one example. But I feel like sometimes, like, maybe it's just my perspective, but I feel like the critical targets that I hack and call go unnoticed, and it makes it really frustrating for me to play that character because I feel like I'm not doing fucking anything.
I think I would say one thing though, like sometimes you're like guilty of like playing like super far in the back and like hacking a target super far in the back, and then you call the target, but like everyone else is in the front line and you're in the back line, and no one can really jump in without like overextending and just dying. So you do that sometimes, right?
Yeah, that's completely on me. Like, I'm not saying that whoever I hack needs to die. Like, I understand that people are not always like able to actually follow up on that on the target that I hack, but I feel like there are numerous occasions where that targets that I hack who are in the team fight and easily distinguishable and killable, people just don't pay attention to, and they just go for someone else. And I don't know, maybe it's partly because our target caller doesn't hear my call and doesn't like adapt based on that and just keeps doing whatever he deems best or whatever. But I don't know, just feels weird. And that's why I don't really like playing these Sombra comps most of the time, unless we are like attacking and we make like a pre-fight plan where we identify the primary target, and I can just go for the hack on that target, and then we win the fight by just simply removing that one key target. But
yeah, so one thing you can do, if you want to drill Sombra comps, is just play Hollywood defense with a team. So you guys have a team in your servers, which is really good. So you can do this with, but Hollywood defense is a map where Sombra Doom is either really good if you're a good Sombra Doom team, or it's a really bad map, right? So the reasoning for this is that the choke is very clearly defined on Hollywood defense, right? Like everybody knows that little archway is clearly the choke, right? So what happens is your dive area, or like your win condition, your critical area to dive is like right there at the choke, okay? So you have the Sombra playing behind, you have a Doom hiding until Sombra says, okay, can we engage? And the team says, yeah. You have the Winston Diva ready to go at any point. You have the two supports playing on top of Cafe, or you have a support playing on top of Water Tower, and one's playing in Cafe, vice, whatever. So what happens is your goal there on Hollywood defense is to find the hack target, execute, and immediately crash on top of them. Or if you're having problems overcomplicating it, which it seems like you guys may sometimes, literally just say, okay, they're choked, can we dive in? Everybody will say yeah. If somebody says no, then you respect that. You give them a second. You say if everybody says yeah, you just jump on them, okay? And then now again, they're paying too much attention to the Winston Doom, so the Sombra gets a free hack now. And now that Sombra calls like, okay, this is hacked, this is hacked, this is hacked. And sometimes it doesn't mean you guys have to follow up on the hack, but it just means that you guys got a bonus because now that player can't use their abilities. But say she gets a good hack off and it's a player like literally right next to you, then yeah, you can just focus the hack target, right? You don't have to overcomplicate things. It's not that big of a deal. And so what'll happen is that's a map again, like I said. If you do that correctly, you can easily full hold, or you can get very close, or you can pull the clock down to like below a minute 30, right? A minute 30 on first point defenses, in my opinion, is pretty good. If my team holds first point on Kings Row, Hollywood, whatever, Numbani, until 1:30 or below, I'm really happy with that. Anything above 1:30, like 2 minutes, okay, if the enemy team caps at 2 minutes, okay, then I consider, all right, well, my defense was just as good as their offense, so I need to be better as a coach, or my players need to be better at executing what I said. Anything below 2 minutes, or my goal is 1:30 or below, is pretty good, okay? Because that means my defense was better than their offense. So we've pulled the time bank down better than they pulled the time bank up. So that's your goal, right? So you play Somber Doom there, you just keep drilling it, keep drilling it, keep drilling it, and of course, you ask the other team you're drilling with to not just like do cheesy shit to counter you just because they know what you're doing. You ask them to like just play what they've normally played or something like that. And keep in mind, if they play something that just naturally counters Somber Doom, of course it's not going to work. But you can find a team that doesn't. So a team that just plays like standard dive, or a team that plays like their own Somber Doom on attack, or a team that plays goats. Goats gets rolled by Somber Doom if you play it correctly, and you just crash on top of them, and that's it. And like you just be so aggressive that your supports can't get pressured now. They can walk up and heal your team. After you guys have won the fight, the supports will reset from cafe. There's so much stuff you guys can do. And the thing about Hollywood is the longer the fights take, because the entire time you're fighting in the choke, and as they go backwards, you're pushing into them, so you're pushing into their half of the choke, it gets worse and worse and worse. So the longer the team fight goes, the worse it gets for you. And Somber Doom already has a problem with long team fights being bad for them. But on Hollywood, it's even worse, right? That's why it's a good map to drill it on, because you'll learn, like, okay, this is getting really, really risky because these fights are taking too long. But the fights that you clean up quickly are going to be really effective. So that's a great map to drill that on for sure if you guys want to get better at Somber comps.
But how do you play Summer Doom against goats though? Like, what's the right way?
Yeah, I was actually having a secondary question. So since you seem like a pretty smart guy, when you think about the upcoming meta with the all the new hero changes, would you even recommend like practicing Doomfist Sombra?
Yeah, 100%. Doom's nerf is extremely minimal. It doesn't really mean anything, in my opinion. For the like of course, not being able to shotgun across the map kind of sucks, but it's not that big of a deal, right? Because you don't play Doom to shotgun across the map. Like if you wanted to do that, you'd just play Widow or Hanzo or something. He still one-shots everything up close, right? Which is all you need to care about is Doom. So that was a terrible nerf to give him. And then Sombra didn't get changed, as far as I know, like at all, right? So that's not that bad. Goats is even worse than it used to be because the overall shielding from Brig is worse. What else something else got changed that makes Goats worse. Can't remember what it was though.
Brigitte shield?
Yeah, that's what I said, I think. Yeah, so that got changed a bit. So Goats is even just a tiny bit worse than it used to be. I can't remember what else changed, but something else did change. That hurts it in the meta. But anyway, so Somber Doom is still really good. Only thing that makes Somber Doom a bit worse is that McCree is a tiny bit better. And the buff to McCree is, while good, it's just kind of minimal, right? So like the Brig Cree comp counters Somber Doom, except for the fights where Somber Doom has the MP. The fights where Somber has the MP or Doom has nano ults, the Brig Cree comp will basically never win because the Brig Cree comp has very bad ult economy. Like Doom, like Deadeye is a pretty bad ulti. Rally's a pretty bad ult, doesn't really do much. The Brig Cree comp is really good at taking fights 6-on-6 when both teams are kind of low on ult economy, but it's really bad at beating comps that have high ult economy, right? So if you can cycle and you snowball the Brig Cree comp, it's really hard for them to make it work because they would kind of want to snowball on you guys like Goats does. So no, nothing really changes Somber Doom. Somber Doom, in some cases, even better. So yeah, definitely still play it. Torb sucks, so Torb changes don't make any difference to Somber Doom. Pharah's good, but the thing is, teams don't realize that right now. So like a lot of teams think Pharah's really bad and she's gotten even worse with the patch. And some teams think she's just gotten okay, or that she's at a playstyle shift. Pharah or Pharmacy changes. It doesn't really change anything. It'll affect Somber Doom on attack, but in my opinion, Somber Doom on attack sucks anyway. So, because Somber Doom on defense just breaks LOS, and they dive so quickly that the soldier changes don't change anything. You know what I mean? Because soldier didn't really get a damage buff up close. He got a damage buff from afar. So if you just delete his team up close, the soldier changes just make soldier again just a bad DPS. So he kind of sucks in a lot of cases now.
Oh man.
He's better. Like you're gonna play a lot more soldier than you used to, but he still sucks into Somber Doom. Like he's really bad.
I think it's like a ladder patch where they make ladder a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely affects.
So like really doesn't affect team play.
No, so Sombra Doom's still really good. Soldier will only be better into Sombra Doom on defense, where he already has high ground and already has long line of sight, and so to even get to him, you have to kind of commit resources. That's where he'll get more damage than you used to. But when they're attacking and you're on defense, Soldier should literally get no more damage than he did before. You know what I mean? Because you're just collapsing on them so quickly that he can't use that range advantage. So Sombra doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. That patch. I mean, that comp's still like probably a top 2 comp right now. It's either that. Or, in my opinion, if teams learned how to play Brig McCree, they would understand how good it is. Like our team's kind of lucky that our hit scan is actually just insane. Like he's ridiculous. It's so fucking crazy. And so like we can just play Cree in a lot of comps that shouldn't work, and it works. And so it works really well for us. And like once contender starts, you'll probably see us playing a lot of that, as long as we're still playing on the patch before this patch, before the Torb patch, because I'm still not 100% confident in everything, but I'm very confident in what I told you guys. But it doesn't mean I've thought about everything about this patch yet. So if it's 1.28 and contender starts, like, and the camera's on our hit scan, like you'll see what I mean. It's fucking crazy. He just headshots everything across the map. That comp's really good. Sombra Doom is probably still top 2. Goats comps, as long as you play the right Goats comp on the map, it's still really good. So if you play standard Goats on the wrong map to play standard Goats, it'll be really bad. But if it's a map where Sombra Goats is good, and you identify that and you play Sombra Goats, then Goats is still really strong. Or if you want to play Hanzo Goats or Doom Goats, like you see in NA, the team that won NA Open Division just played like basically Doom Goats the entire time, or Sombra Doom. That's really good. So all Goats variations are like top 3. And then you have these new comps coming in where like Pharmacy, but playing it correctly or like playing it very smart is really good. But the thing is, if they swap to a counter comp, Pharmacy gets countered worse than ever now. So you need to respect that, and you need to swap off right away. You can't stay on it. But teams will try to play like Orisa into us, like I said, right? Or they'll try to play these Ryan comps, and we'll just play a Pharah and have her sit behind our Ryan shield. She won't play in the air. And now the defensive Widow that counters us doesn't do anything. Or the defensive McCree. But when they play like, very Death Volley, or they play Sombra Doom, but they play very aggressively, now our Pharah's not too good. On Hanamura attack, for instance, we know that every team wants to play Sombra Doom. It's the only good defense there right now, in my opinion. So we play Pharmacy Ana, and we keep our Ana very close to our Pharmacy. So if she gets dived by the Sombra, she just gets healed right away. And then we'll play like a Sombra of our own. So we'll play Pharmacy Sombra attack. And the new Pharmacy can spam so much that it draws a lot of attention from the defense. And that allows our Sombra, who would normally get spy checked on Hanamura attack, to get in for free, right? And now she'll either unstealth on point and force them to go, oh, they're on point, we need to rotate. I've talked to you guys before, I think, about how on Horizon, all you have to do is send your Tracer or your Sombra to point, and they'll go, okay, we gotta go contest point, and they'll all rotate. And while they're rotating, you guys dive them, right? I think I've told you guys about that. It's the same thing on Hanamura. So you can either do that, or you can literally just unstealth, hack their diva, and dive in. So much stuff you guys can do. But yeah, Sombra Doom is still a top 3 comp for sure. No changes have been made, I think. But yeah.
Okay.
We can like speed run through this VOD if you want, and just like not pause.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
What's good here? What did they run? They run treehouse comp. But...
Yeah. You want to dive or treehouse?
A-blocks. Oh wait, okay, no. This is a different one. This is the one where they wrecked us with Nanoblade.
No.
Should we still watch this?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. More important should be.
Adding up the Sonic on the left
So
side.
you guys want to attack first?
They have a hammer.
Under your own defense, okay. Looking at comp, it's okay. I don't like Sombra on defense here because it's very hard to play off of the hack. The only thing that you could do is rotate to point, and now when Sombra hacks, you guys are a lot closer, so you can kind of rotate into them easier. Thing is, though, Orisa actually wants to not play on point, because if they are playing a comp that's very Death Volley, and they are with the hamster. And I don't like the comp they're playing, but if they play like a hamster Winston, for instance, and you guys had an Orisa shield on point, what would you really do if they just walk past the Orisa shield, right? Or like jump past the Orisa shield? Not really anything, right? So you really don't want to be on point. So where Sombra is good is fighting on point, where Orisa is bad is fighting on point. So this comp doesn't really synergize. Would like to see this person or this person. So either you swap your DPS completely and you go like Widow Hanzo, Hanzo Junk, Widow Junk, Widow Soldier, Hanzo Soldier, Brig Doom, and don't play Narissa, instead of play Winston. Play a lot of stuff here. I just wouldn't play this, I think.
Is Widow Hanzo still good though, or bad?
It's okay. It's good on maps where you know they're gonna run goats, right? So say like if you guys are in UGC or you're prepping for open division and you've seen the other team's VODs and you know they're gonna play goats, double sniper just wrecks goats if you play it correctly because of the crossfire, you know? Because like they'll hold Rhine Shield to block the Hanzo, but then the Widow will be over here just dinking their team. So it can work for sure. And then with a lot of teams wanting to play Brig McCree right now, especially like in contenders because they're understanding how good it is, Brig McCree gets rolled by double sniper because McCree can't contest both snipers across the map. So it's pretty good. Not too bad. In your guys' setting, I'm sure you guys don't really see a lot of Brig McCree, so it doesn't get that value. But even though it's kind of bad into this comp, to some extent, it's probably still better than this, to be honest. And then your Lucio would just be like Mercy, and you play Mercy Ana, like double main heals.
They got Sombra.
Sombra right side.
But I mean, if you wanted to just make this comp good or the best possible version, in my opinion, just swap this person to a Junkrat, or to a Doomfist, or to a Brigitte.
Sombra on me.
I originally thought the Torb changes would make him very good, and the more I've played him and the more I've seen people play him, I realize like I kind of just want old Torb back, because his ult is not, I don't know, it's good, but it gets countered by so many comps.
Oof, okay.
It's kind of just cheesy.
I'm booped off. Jump, do behind.
Come back.
Okay.
D.Va 1.
Yeah, D.Va's low.
I'm going for the D.Va.
Tell me. I've dropped.
They swapped Ender. I don't know what Ender was on before he swapped.
Right next to point.
But same thing, all they had to do was touch point, force you guys to drop down, then your Orisa would get no value, then they'd dive you and you would die. They're playing the solo hamster, which sucks here, in my opinion. If you're gonna play hamster here, you play him with a Winston. Hamster D.Va is not good enough here anymore.
Wait, so
especially because... Go ahead.
Hammond Winston's pretty good, right? Or...
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. And just this map in particular, like a lot of times you can play just hamster D.Va. But in general, hamster Winston is a lot safer because hamster is more of an off tank, I think, than a main tank, and people don't really realize that too much. Like there are like, at least in current meta, if you're gonna play hamster, in a lot of cases, if you're opening the map up with him, he'll be your off tank. If you're trying to recontest a point, or like there's not a lot of time to touch the point, and you just swap and do something fast and get there, of course your main tank will swap to hamster. But yeah, this is kind of bad from them.
But if you have hamster Winston, then what's the goal of that composition? You just want like what your
both hamster and Winston crash at the exact same time, and they provide enough peeling for each other and enough like cleave and CC that it gives your team enough time to get in.
Winston does.
How about like a triple tank dive, right? Because I used to
hamster
see, like,
Winston D.Va.
No, yeah, hamster Winston D.Va Doomfist, right? When you damage boost hamster when you power drives. Because I saw that work a couple times, like, and it felt like super OP, but no one runs it. Just curious why.
I think it's just too easily counterable by spam, or like if they play a comp that's very mobile, how are you going to guarantee that you get a lot of people in the pile drive, right? So it's like, it's kind of one-dimensional. So it's really good if they're playing a certain comp and you want to counter it. So say like you guys came out of spawn, if you're on attack, okay? Say you came out of spawn and you saw them playing Orisa, damage boosted Hanzo, and a Junk, right? Then it might be kind of okay if you execute perfectly. That's also a comp that if you execute poorly is going to roll you because of how much damage they do. But coming out of the gate with it, with the intentions of, okay, we're going to play this comp the entire 4 minutes and just hope that it works, is really risky because it's very one-dimensional. Either it works really well or it works very poorly. It's just like goats. Goats works very well, but if you get countered, you need to immediately swap, because if you take too many fights with goats, you're going to get snowballed, and Ghost is very, very bad at breaking a snowball. It's almost impossible to break a snowball as goats. Because I talked to you guys before, goats does very poorly into like EMP and very poorly into like Blizzard and Graviton and Shatter. So you got to be really careful. It's the same premise.
Right, okay.
D.Va, Sweden.
Sombra hack,
D.Va.
Oh my.
D.Va 1.
Gonna mini game on point?
D.Va's dead.
Ball.
Yeah, my ball. Dead.
People don't like this map, but honestly, I think out of all the 2CP maps, this is like one of the more fun ones.
Yeah, like we should see like more Symmetra on
It's
this
not
map.
the map. I think it's more just like takes so long to play, like finish it, because most of the time both teams cap.
It's
both
not like
points.
I hate it. I despise it.
I
No
feel it.
heals here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, got a Sombra.
Yeah, there was a sim strat for a while, or like for a week in an A, where everybody would just peek out of the classroom down here and immediately sim TP all 6 players on the point.
Yeah.
And like I've seen it, but it's like so risky.
Go with him.
Nice.
I like the Nambani one because where you TP, it's almost impossible for the enemy team to break it because they'd have to turn in a corner to break it, and then they just be peeking your team. So that one's kind of good.
There's like so many strats you can always run that it's a shame that it's always like the same comps in meta, right?
Yeah.
You saw
Yeah,
what I
okay.
did last night with my Symmetra ace.
Yeah.
I'm dying.
So,
Get out.
here you guys have okay, this pick will probably end up causing you guys to lose the point if they play this correctly because they have EMP now. They just need to slow down for a second, let the Sombra push into you guys, she'll EMP, and then their hamster will engage and pop ulti. All their Sombra needs to do now is make sure that she EMPs Yosho and you guys kill, or they kill Yosho before he can get off beat. So they just EMP your tank line, it looks like. Okay, so immediately, again, this is a scenario where I don't understand why any of you would be saving ults. The longer you wait to use an ulti, the worse it gets. One thing I've said, I think to both your teams the first day I was here was, you don't want to use ults to bring a fight back. You want to use ults when the fight is about even, or just a very, very, very slight advantage to the other team. Okay, when you're down like a full player, or you're down like 800 health or something across the board, you don't really want to ult now because all the ult is going to do is stabilize the fight and tank, you know, for the most part, just bring it back to a 50-50. Because even if like you EMP'd them right now, right, they'd still have a player advantage on you. They still have a player alive and you don't. They have 5 players on point. You have 5 players alive, but one's still coming back from spawn. So you're down a player. So what's going to happen is the longer you wait, the bigger the snowball gets because they open the fight up with a pick. So for every second that you guys fight, they're fighting 6v5, okay? Or 5v4, whatever. So what's going to happen is you wait. You finally use an ult because it's looking too bad. And you're like, oh, this is just terrible. I need to ult. Okay, but it doesn't matter. It's too late at this point. You've let things get worse. But if you immediately stabilized, okay, so you lost a player and you immediately said, like, I'm beating, go aggressive, and you beat and you go into them, they were never able to force that snowball, like that 5v4 or that 6v5, right? So you've actually gotten way better value, and you've guaranteed that now you decrease the chances that you ult to bring a fight back, which is what you don't want to do, okay? If you're in that position, in a lot of cases, depending on the map and depending on the map format, whether it's 2CP or payload, whatever, you kind of just want to give up the fight. Because now what's going to happen is you may ult, and your team, because you only stabilize, may still lose. So instead of just dying and saving ult, you've used ult, and you died. So it's, you know, you see what I mean? Like, it's really easy to mess up there. So as soon as I saw your tank line get EMP'd, okay, and your Sombra's already picked, you're down 2 players now. You know, it's 2CP, so I could kind of get it if you wanted to beat right now, or EMP right now, or Nano right now. I guess not EMP because he's dead, but beat or Nano or Diva Bomb, whatever, or Hanzo ulti. I could kind of get it because 2CP. It's very risky to lose team fights as compared to like payload or Koth, where it's not that big of a deal. But at the same time, you know, if this was payload or Koth, you guys are down 2 players. Like, it's too late. You can't. Don't use ults now. You know, just give it up. So if I unpause now and one of you use ults, whoever ults is incorrect. Okay. It was also incorrect of all 4 of you to probably not use ults the second you saw Suo die and just push into them or like be aggressive, because this is 2CP and losing a singular fight means you've lost an entire point. So you got to be a bit careful. And I only bring this up preemptively because we've watched 3 maps now, or 2 maps, and both maps you guys ult late. Just you guys save, which is probably better there. But again, it's 2CP, so deciding not to be aggressive off of that Suo pick from them means you've lost the entire point.
should have paid by now. We should have D.Va bomb.
Yeah, we can go in with EMP and D.Va bomb. Make sure we EMP Lucy and then just D.Va bomb. And then dive.
I'm behind him. I can EMP if you want.
All top left, all top left.
Tell me when you're ready.
Let them fight in the point.
Just
On the point we have more.
Hammond behind, left.
There's one.
Come on.
We have to use an ult. We have to go.
When is they?
I'm EMPing. Huge.
Come right now. Unless I can be.
Big one. He's small.
I'm the ult, yeah. Medium point.
Nah, shit.
Do you roll me on staircase?
Stabilize.
Sombra.
Leave us out of mech. Leave us,
Everyone big.
Okay.
Switch targets to
Cover
someone.
one.
Not TP.
Brigade behind.
I'm dead. You're gonna hold again. Watch out. You're gonna nano. You're gonna pick up.
Always one of points.
Okay, so they're just snowballing now. They'll probably win this fight.
They didn't even raise that. Nice.
Yeah, okay.
Please find me.
Alright, no big deal. So first point was the bigger problem there. Second point, they just snowballed into you guys. You kind of had a weird use of ult economy, but it's whatever. It's one team fight.
I think we could
Yeah, I
have won
don't
if I had used dragons on the high ground where the supports were.
Yeah, you guys, that's what I mean. Like, you guys could have all used your ults a bit more effectively and just played around the ults and, like, enabled them. But you guys kind of just, like, threw your ultis out in the open and hoped that it worked out, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's whatever. Like, you guys are getting snowballed on. I get why you guys are, like, thing, you know, but, yeah, it could definitely be enabled, which is basically, like, the premise of the first two maps that we talked about, so. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I just want you guys to keep in mind, like, of the maps we've watched, like, compositions is the last thing to focus on because compositions will change patch to patch, but mindset is like very rarely going to change patch to patch, right? So the thing about like when they have 6 ults and you have 0, being aggressive unless you can actually guarantee that you stall their engage a bit, right, until you get ultis is really good. That's something I'd like to see from you guys. I'd like to see from you guys understanding that when you're playing comps that don't benefit from taking like, you know, a long range trade into the Winston and D.Va, or like, I mean, sorry, like the Widow or a Hanzo or a Soldier or McCree, that okay, you need to not do that then. You need to let them execute and walk up, and now you pressure. Okay, like just understand win conditions a bit better, which that spreadsheet that I sent you guys, even though it's incomplete, and I can send you guys the full one once I'm finished, because I plan on doing that either later today or early tomorrow, and make it a bit more clean and like organized so people can see it a bit better. I'll send you guys that, and that should help a bit because it basically explains win conditions. Tempo is really important. So like we talked about, like when to use ults when you're down, when to use ults when you're up. That's one thing I noticed on every single map that you guys have a kind of a big problem with that could be improved on. I think every team at your guys' SR right now has a big problem with that, but it's also one of those things that a lot of teams don't recognize that they have the problem with, right? So understanding why you have that problem or like how you have that problem and just working on it for the next couple of weeks, even if you wanted to just work on that alone for like the next week and just hammer it out and fix it, would be really, really beneficial for you guys because now it's fixed. You never make that problem again. Now your ult economy is a lot better. Now you're giving up fights when you're supposed to. Now you're pressuring fights when you're supposed to. That's a really big part of Overwatch. Of course, your guys' comps, sometimes I think you stayed on them a bit too long. Sometimes I think you played them a bit incorrectly. But again, that's the last thing to focus on. Who cares? Like, that's just one of those things you work on when you're a team that has no other issues. But every team at your guys' rank has a lot of fundamental issues. So that's the last thing I'd focus on. Yeah, I don't know. I think that was a good like 4 or like 3 maps because that was pretty telling. Hopefully all of that made sense. If not, you know, you guys can always DM me. I know it's really late for you guys and it's only 3 p.m. for me, but yeah, feel free to DM me though. Is there any questions or you guys have before I leave?
Not really.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, that was so we'll call it there. So thanks, Typhoon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hopefully we'll
Yeah, for sure.
do like another map review or another vote review pretty soon. And then
Yeah,
we'll,
no worries, guys.
Go through some. But what can we drill on? So we'll just drill like apart from the Summer Hammond dive. Is there any other dive that can help improve our fundamentals or not?
I mean, you can drill. I think what would help you guys. You can play it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
I was just about saying, like, I don't think it's as much about drilling as much it is about just sitting down with the team and going over what's each player's like responsibilities in the team is, and what they need to cover when it comes to comms and shit. Because I feel like there's a bit of a gray area still when it comes to like what kinds of stuff each player should call and do and so on. And even in like when you think about like the team compositions that we run, like go each composition individually and say or go over what each individual needs to do in the set comp.
So
Yeah,
like
for
just
sure.
have like an in general idea. What is the goal to do with that composition or with that play style? Because like you were mentioning, you were like hacking targets, right, with Sombra, and no one was following up. With Sombra Doomfist, like we said, it's like you're supposed to clash on one, like get a situation where you can profit from just like taking a huge brawl. I mean, like fastly just diving the target, right? Or getting that huge cleave in. But if we're never really like if you're not getting the hack before we dive, then we've all burned our cooldowns. So you're like, you're hacking somebody on the left, but nobody can really catch up to that since we all burned out cooldowns to dive the choke or the miss position player. So like we need to initiate after you get a hack, not you shouldn't get the hack when we've already initiated, because then we can't really follow up on that. So just having like the in general idea of like how team compositions work will help a lot, since everyone knows what they're supposed to do, and then you don't hack targets mid fights and actually before then. I'm not saying
Well,
you're
keep in
doing
mind,
it wrong,
like
but
that's what I mean. Like on Hollywood, right? You guys can actually afford to just let them. That's one of those maps where if you play it correctly, like you guys can clash first, and then like he just hacks, and then in some cases he'll hack, and it'll help the team fight because like say he hacks a diva mid fight, even if you can't get to the diva, now the entire fight they can't like eat your healing anymore, right? Like from your Ana, and like you can't eat nades. Like you can do that on some maps, and then there's some maps where it's like okay, you really need to get the hack off first, and then you dive in. So it does like differentiate from map to map. And against like certain comps too, it's going to be very hard for the Sombra, even at a high level, to get a good hack off. Like on certain maps, when you try to hack the diva, the rest of the team will be pressuring too much, so you'll unstealth and get picked and have to translocate back. But then there are other maps where it's like the easiest thing in the world to hack diva and say like, "I hack diva, can we dive?" And your team says, "Yeah," and you just like dive the diva. But Hollywood is one of those, like if you drilled it, you'll notice depending on the comps that they play, sometimes it's very easy to say like, "I hack diva," or "I hack Lucio, dive to dive," or like sometimes you won't though. Sometimes they'll play a comp that's like a bit more divey, a bit more spaced out. And so you really need to let them come to the choke first and then dive in, and then just hope your Sombra mid-fight gets like a great hack off on their Ana so she can't nade, or hack off on their Lucio so he can't amp heals anymore, or just like wall ride or anything. Just hack somebody mid-fight, and whether or not you guys can follow up on that hack, at least it helped. And the thing as a Sombra player, when you guys do that, when you clash first and then you hack, you need to balance out like, okay, is the hack I'm about to go for right now worth more than me just going for like more headshots or like more bullets into like the head hitbox, the div, or things like that? And generally it will be, but I see sometimes even my Sombra on my team will like mid fight go for a hack, and he'll hack like the Zen or something. And like, yeah, now the Zen can't trance, but it's the first fight of the game, so he probably wasn't going to trance anyway. So it's like, you're probably just better off shooting. And like that's something to keep in mind, I guess. You don't want to just hack every single fight sometimes when you guys are doing that clash thing, but most fights you will. But yeah, you're still right though. Like all of you are right. Understanding win conditions like per comp and understanding like, how each comp works and how like each hero works is really important for sure. Especially because this game is so flippy floppy, and the better a team is, the more they'll swap comps in current patch. Like the worst teams or the teams that aren't top tier will pick a comp and they'll just run it the entire time. And it makes sense to do that when you're working, like when it's working out, but it doesn't make sense to do that when things are only going okay or things are not even going well. Then that makes no sense at all. Like, why would you not just swap comps? There's like 4 god tier comps right now. You have so many options, and they all counter each other. So it doesn't make sense for when the maps are only going okay and you're only winning 50% of the fights because both comps are just kind of going even, or like you're just both playing like kind of mirror comps. Not just, so if they're playing goats, why not just swap to double hit scan, or like double spam, or swap to Sombra Doom on defense and counter it. Or if they're playing the Briggs and Kree comp, why not just swap to like double spam or double sniper,
or a long range like comp. You know, there's so much stuff you guys can do. And yeah, the best teams right now are swapping comps every like 2 fights at most. So that's something to keep in mind, I guess.
Alright, okay. Well, we can work on that. Yeah, work on that in scrims this week. So, thanks, Typhoon. We'll end it here so you guys can go to bed. Good shit. Alright, you guys take care. Have a good night.
Yep, you too, man.
Yep. See you guys. Peace.
Typhoon.
Yep.